family as best as you can while still trying to, become the caliber fighter that makes it to the big show. And, and sometimes you do it with a support system, and sometimes you got to do it on your own. So it is definitely, it's a give and take for sure.
I don't want to go too deep into that because I don't want to bring up any wounds for yourself, but do you mind enlightening some of us about the aspect of having that support system and then also having to do it on your own? Because now that you are been on both sides of it, I guess, do you mind going into that?
Oh man, yeah, for sure. I don't mind, man. Life happens, and
Okay.
you can complain about it and find an excuse, or you can figure out how to solve the problem and remedy the situation. And I love the mother of my children. She's my best friend. We still talk every single day. And I always hold out hope that maybe we'll mend the family situation whenever we can. But the thing about the support system, and I'll give you two great examples, which is Alex Morono and his wife. They run the gym together that I work at. They're married. They're awesome. Janice is there for him, supports him through every camp, never wavers. I've been, around them literally since the day they met. So it's a constant amount of work for her, but she thoroughly enjoys doing it because she not only sees the benefits. Obviously he's in the UFC. He's like the journeyman of the UFC, but then he has that dedication, and it's very visible, and she can see it, and it's easy to invest into. And then you got the guys that, another great example is Ricky Tercios and his girlfriend. They've been together longer than I can remember, and she's been there through the thick and thin with him, lived in, apartments on a couch. They've both worked odd jobs at the same time to run the MMA dream. And, and they're doing it, and Ricky just won the Ultimate Fighter and, had a little hiccup for one of his fights in the UFC, but then did amazingly well in his next showing. And, and then he's got Christina there with him every day. Like, hey, this is what the diet needs to be. This is how we're going to train. It's a very awesome thing to see on the outside. And then, you get the alternate sides where you have kids and a wife, and you're kind of starting from scratch, and you have to have the full-time job on top of it, and you're not just living for yourself, because when you're a parent, you must live for your children. And what my coach always tells me is, hey, there's an order to things to keep your life running correctly when competing. It's family, then it's work, and then it's fighting. I have the luck that my work is also fighting, because I work at the gym and I train at the gym full-time. I do private lessons and stuff, so it's like I'm always there. But then on the opposite end, it's like I have a new marriage, not new because we had been together for 7 years, but 2 children in the mix of it all. And then it's I want to go on vacation, I can't, I'm in camp. I want to take the kids here, I can't, I'm in camp. I want to just rest and relax and drink and have fun with my partner. And it's like I really want to, but I can't. And so it's like that can weigh down on a partner, which is totally understandable. Again, this is the most selfish sport. And you do your best. As the fighter, you do your best to, hope that you can get to the big goal. And if they're not there to support it, then you do your best to get there without them. And it's hard. You go home and you have a rough day and you want to just get hugged by your partner and told that you're doing good and you're dedicated, and they see it. And sometimes you get home to, we need more money and I wanted to go out more and you're not paying enough attention to me. And that's the other drawback of the no support. So, and then now, I'm, on my own, live on my own with my kids and train and stuff. And it's definitely been kind of difficult. Actually, am in the process of retiring right now, which is, news for everybody, but, yeah, I'm actually hanging the gloves up, but not stopping competing by any means, kind of refocusing my concentration on family and coaching. I coach Alex for the UFC fights, go to the events with him, and I'm in his corner, I'm going to be doing, hopefully starting to do the same thing with Ricky as well, where I'm in that corner and kind of focusing more on the coaching aspect. But then, combat jiu-jitsu and super fights and ADCC is all coming up, and those are the things I'll be doing next. So by no means does competition stop, but there's no harder competition, in my opinion, than mixed martial arts, and there's nothing harder on you, competition-wise, than mixed martial arts. And so again, sometimes if you don't have that support system, the juice kind of starts to become not worth the squeeze. But there's alternate routes. Like, I'm a black belt. I weigh 165 walk around. I'm gonna go to ADCC next year, and I'm gonna call out Mickey Rod and Gordon Ryan and say what's up. And I'm small, but I'm big at the same time. So let's get it. The difference between you and me is I fought for a living, and you do jiu-jitsu, homeboy. So,
wow.
That's my next stream of competition, which by no means makes it to where I don't feel like I'm still chasing a dream. I'm just, kind of changing the direction of it. But yeah, that's new. That's kind of breaking news for everybody on my retirement. But, it's just, again, it's one of those things where you have to have the right support system. And if you don't have the right support system, you got to find it. You got to make it for yourself, because that's a part of this sport, whether you're fighting or do jiu-jitsu or anything else like that. So.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for the breaking news. That is huge. How long were you thinking about this? Like, I guess, how long has it been mulling over in your brain? And then what was finally your tipping point of like, you know what, let me just refocus everything, so that, I can do more of this and not have to worry so much about this?
Man, it's one of those things where not only do I'm obviously viewing my own career, seeing how it's going and knowing the next steps to take, but then also seeing the guys, around the city on other teams that are, pushing to try to get that career to stay afloat, and almost like they're kind of beating the dead horse. And my last fight, my leg got destroyed. I thought it was broken because I've broken my leg in a fight before. And then it was probably right after the third leg kick that I mentally was like, I can't push forward. This is too painful. And it comes to a point where it's like, I'm not fighting 1-0 dudes in Fury. I'm fighting the number one guys that they can find. I'm fighting the top level dudes, and that's dangerous if your heart and mind isn't in it. And that's kind of where it's like, you know what, man, I want to play catch with my kids when they get old enough. I want to take them out. I want my kids to be like, my dad did everything to make sure that we were taken care of and entertained. And when you're at the age of 34 years old and you get told by your managers and your coaches and all the higher ups that that it's going to be 2 to 3 more fights minimum on the local level, which means probably I'll be 36 by the time I get into the UFC. And then there's no promise. You get to the UFC, and what if they don't like you? What if you lose, and you lose badly and they cut you right away?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it comes to a point where I decided to choose my kids. I decided to continue to be a martial artist, continue to compete, but while also choosing my children first. And when I don't have to cut weight, it becomes so much easier to choose my kids first. Like, honestly, right now, the second I made the choice to hit my retirement, talk to the coaches, made sure the support was there, made sure that they understood what was happening. I got nothing but support from the entirety of my team, my cross-training partners, other team members, the promoters, and everybody was like, hey, man, we support you no matter what. And there's always that, maybe I get the itch, maybe I want to do one more matchup and just fight for fun, and I might do that one day. And, I got 5 or 6 more years before I got to, completely physically give up on trying to ever cage fight again. But yeah, right now I'm definitely choosing my kids over everything else. And that's not to say, my separation with my wife has caused anything. It was one of those, I don't want to take damage anymore. I've broken my nose 7 times in my career. My first pro fight, I picked the guy up and dumped him over my head, ripped my abdomen open and had a hernia. I broke my leg in a fight. Outside of fighting, I've been shot and injured and almost died. And, I've been cut on my eyes probably over a dozen times. And it's come to a point where it's like, I don't want to be limping around or not able to close my hands or hold my children when they get bigger. And so it was 100% like I choose my kids, you know, and what's great is I have all this experience. There's a whole new a whole new generation of guys at our gym that are, you know, going to make the run. And I want to be there to give them, you know, lead by example. Like, hey, this is what I went through. This is what happened to me. And, you know, it's like they got myself, the grinder, they got Alex Morano, the great white, and they got pretty Ricky Tercios, man. They got three of the best examples of local level, ultimate fighter level, and straight fight as hard as you can until you get signed right off the bat level. And that's like, you know, it's cool to be able to have that experience and be able to, you know, pass that knowledge on. And that's kind of where I'm happy to kind of chase that next dream of, you know, now I've just kind of done, instead of being interviewed after a fight of how awesome the finish was or how great the performance was, my new goal now is I want to be such a good coach in the UFC that they ask me to do interviews. Hey, what's your coaching method? What's it like having this guy, you know, on your team, and what's it like cornering him? And that's my new goal. So it's like, that's the cool thing about martial arts. It's no matter what you're doing, no matter what you achieve, there's always something next. And so it's cool to be able to have that with, you know, even with retiring from fighting and stuff like that. So, you know, it's just, you know, you make good life choices and then you redirect your efforts elsewhere. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
No, I love that. And I love that you say that, you know, you realize, you know, taking that kind of damage on a regular basis over and over again, you have to at some point think, why am I doing this? And, you know, trying to explain that to your kids also, of like, you know, these cuts, these bruises, these, you know, like you said, your leg being shattered the way it was, your abs, your, you know, I want to go into you being shot here in a second, but I love that you still have that clarity of having, why am I taking this damage? What's it really going to do for me in the long run? Also, you know, as you get older and you're seeing that things aren't progressing the way you would like them to, again, you have to re-examine the entire bit of why you're taking that damage. And then also, your kids are going to remember you being around more than they are you not being around. Like, you are able to almost make up for it, because from what I can tell on your Instagram, your kids are still young enough to where they're going to remember those moments of you being there. They're not, you know, obviously they will remember the moments of you not being there because they wanted you there, but you weren't there because you were off fighting or training or whatever. But now that you are going to be able to be there more, they're going to slowly be able to erase some of those old memories of you not being able to be there.
Right. And that's kind of where I'm at as well. The other thing is I make a very good living being a black belt, honestly. Yeah. And with me fighting so much, there was so many decisions having to be made on, am I going to go work and make some money for my family, or am I going to go train and hope that eventually I can make money for my family through fighting? And that's a hard process, because that's, you know, you got to, you know, I before me and my wife separated, and again, you know, I love her to death and she's still my best friend, and it's like I promised her these things through MMA, like this is what MMA will give us one day. And when you're on your, you know, 11th year and she's, you know, on the outside looking in and being like, when is your time? When is your time? It just gets to a point where you're like, if I was to refocus and, you know, open my schedule up, stop cross training, stop being so beat up because I'm always in camp, and just train full time and coach full time, you make a very good living. And it's like when you're choosing to not make that good living when it's right there in front of you because you want to fight, that's where you got to be like, am I choosing something over my children? And will they look back and say, you know, we remember that? And that's like you were saying, like, I want to make sure that the memories they have of me is like, you know, just immensely good, to where that, you know, They just always think like, man, we had a great childhood. Dad took us to jujitsu twice a week, kickboxing twice a week.